When people ask me what my sort of end times view is, what my eschatology is, I tend to take them to Matthew 25 in the parable of the 10 virgins. Now, this may not seem like an end times view, but in a quick way of explaining that I don't have to get bogged down in all the charts and graphs and all the different competing ideas about the end times. I can actually go to this parable and say, well, this parable teaches me that one, I need to live in such a way that I anticipate the bridegroom as if he's coming today. That's my day-to-day life needs to be one that anticipates the reality of the coming of Christ, the bridegroom. But I also need to prepare for the bridegroom to delay. So I need to do things in my life that also prepare me, my family, my community for the fact that the bridegroom may not come in my lifetime. And so you can go to Matthew chapter 25. It's a fairly familiar parable, but you see there are 10 virgins, 10 maidens. They're anticipating the bridegroom. This interestingly ties into Revelation in the sense that the wedding feast or the marriage feast of the bridegroom. And so 5 of them are foolish, 5 are wise. The wise ones are the ones who prepared extra oil and extra wicks for their lamps. And if you've been following the Revelation series that I've done, it's interesting because Revelation begins with the lighting of the lampstand. So partly one of the reasons why this was interesting for me. And so then the question becomes, what does it look like to live a life that is both anticipating the immediacy of the bridegroom, but also cultivating resources that would maintain the light past the time that you might expect? And so what it comes down to is, how do I cultivate things in my life that would allow me to have extra resources for maintaining a light, right? So extra oil, extra wicks for the sake of this parable. And so one of the things that I encourage students towards, and maybe you have another application for this, so I'd love to hear that. And that way the comment section, the description of this video can be a resource to help. I've read this book a few times by Richard Foster. I wouldn't say that I agree with everything Foster says, but it's rediscovering some of the spiritual disciplines that are often overlooked in our kind of modern world. And this is the way to sort of cultivate those resources that we have for making sure that our light doesn't go out. And even in the parable, I guess all 10 of them fall asleep. And so it's sort of a warning for us that we can all kind of succumb to sort of the drowsiness of day-to-day life. And so how do I cultivate sort of a spiritual readiness? And so the disciplines do that: prayer, solitude, silence, fasting when it comes to it, and these various disciplines that I think if we can encourage young people to learn about them early on in life, they will pay dividends later on in their adult life. And so that's one application that I have for these students. And if you've got another application, I would love to hear that. I hope that these videos can be a resource for people in student ministry, parents, students, and the like. And so if you've got something, I'd love to hear that in the comments, and then essentially we're building that resource up. So that's the cultivating resources for the delay of the bridegroom type of thing, spiritual disciplines. How do I live like the bridegroom is coming today? And I think for me, that means I need to give away my faith. The life that I live needs to be consistent with the gospel that I proclaim or I claim to believe in. And so I need to not be shy about sharing my faith in a world that maybe seems antagonistic. I don't need to be shy about serving people who might be unpopular at school or something like that. I don't need to be shy about opting to go on a youth trip rather than some other really fun trip that might serve my sort of immediate need for entertainment, but doesn't give me any sort of lasting, meaningful experience. And so that's what it would look like, I think, for us to live like the bridegroom is coming today. He is the most important thing. Everything else in life falls in line because of him and his immediacy in our lives. And so We don't have to become fiery evangelists or anything like that. We need to live consistently with the gospel that we preach without shame, without being intimidated by the world around us. And I think if we can do that, then we will be people who change the world. If we can encourage students to do that and mentor students in that, then they will be people who not only change their high school or their community, but again, as they grow into adult life, I mean, we will have world changers in front of us. So hopefully that's just a quick little encouragement about end times eschatology that can be kind of this overwhelming, seemingly overwhelming topic to try to bring to students. We don't have to get overwhelmed by it. We need to live like the bridegroom is coming and prepare for the bridegroom's delay.